I'm Bob Spinozzi, and welcome to Small Town. On today's show, we're going to look at the changes that have taken place in Littleton since our Tercentennial celebration 10 years ago. A lot has changed since that watershed year of 2014. The 300-year celebration dominated activity here in Littleton. I was here, so was my guest, Town Clerk, Littleton native Diane Crory. We're going to look back and talk about some of the highlights from that once-in-a-lifetime celebration. Diane, thank you for being with me again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Can't believe it's been 10 years.
I can't believe it either.
It's amazing.
And, you know, you don't think of the changes that have taken place, but there have been quite a few, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes.
Sure.
So the Tercentennial Committee was formed. I believe they were initially appointed by the selectmen?
Absolutely. They were the ones that many people talked about it, said they thought we needed to have one, and went to the select board and said, let's get this started. They started in 2012.
Yeah.
And said, you know, the sooner we get it started, the sooner we can get it going. And so in 2012 is when they started the first board, which was the general committee.
Yeah.
And,
I don't remember every single individual of the very first board. I came on probably midway 2014. Jack Homer asked me if I'd be interested in being involved in buying memorabilia to use for that great celebration. So, but the members that I remember, Jack Homer, of course, was the committee chairman, Robin Sewell, secretary, and Himmelberger. She knows more about Littleton than anyone does.
Yeah, she knows a lot.
Kathy Knox, Millie McGovern, Michael Crory, and Beth Juris. And then there were several other volunteers who participated. I remember seeing you at a lot of the meetings, Joe Knox, John Borowski.
Yeah, it took, there was at least 4 other boards and subcommittees that were formed, and each and every one of them played a vital role in the events that took place that year.
Yeah, and I think that 1 or maybe 2 were assigned to each of the 6 major events that we're going to go over right now.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to start out with the opening ceremony.
Yeah, the opening ceremony, Michael, my husband, and myself were the co-chair of that board, and that took place with a lot of pomp and circumstance, with speeches on the football field, and it was a beautiful day. So we had the Minutemen there that led us onto the field and started our ceremony. We had ribbon cutting by young students that helped us out to get us started.
I remember being there. And now this is 2014. This is when we had the old sod field,
Yes.
which was later converted to artificial turf. And
Yes.
you have an opinion on that, and
Yeah.
we won't talk about that right now, will we? But we had a big picnic, which was the next big event. I believe it was July 12th down at the middle school.
Yes. That was very well attended. And John Kasanjian, who is actually part of Parks and Rec, he was a big part of that. And they had great T-shirts that a lot of people could wear. And one of the great events that happened that day was anybody that was actually part of the 200th or 250th, I'm sorry, event got to get a picture. And so they got quite a few people that were there that day, took their picture, and so we have that for our next time capsule.
We're going to get into that shortly. Now, there was a big ball that took place at the Regency, the big tent that they have outside. I didn't go. Do you have any recollection of that?
I do, and they had a photo booth. So many people got their pictures taken, and some people donated their pictures, and some people just brought them home with them. But Kathy Knox was a huge contributor to that. That was her baby. And sadly, Kathy's no longer with us, but did that huge event with many other people in her community.
Now we're talking about the six. We're in the midst of talking about the six major events, but there were some smaller events planned. Some smaller events that took place throughout the summer as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so we did have the opening of the time capsule, which was one of the smaller events that a lot of people weren't aware of, but it was at the fire station. We went and opened that up, and it wasn't quite as sealed as we had anticipated.
Describe it for us.
It was a mess. So when we opened it, actually Kirby was there filming it for us, and when we opened it up, everything just kind of flowed out.
A lot of the elements got in there, water and mud.
Yeah, it was all this black muck just came out with everything that was inside of it. And we actually thought that it had been destroyed, everything had been destroyed, but with a lot of hard work, and Greg Weber, who is was part of our committee, learned how to restore everything. And with a lot of hard work and hours, we went and used his greenhouse, which is no longer there, and we took each and every piece of history that was in there, and it was special water, it was distilled water, and we took every piece and watered it down and put it aside and let it lay out and dry, and after months and months it finally was restored. So because of his hard work and the hard work of our committee, we were able to restore quite a bit of it, and a lot of it was reports from youngsters that were now, they have kids in high school now, that did those reports.
So this is a reminder now, this is 1964?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, great stuff, and that's now in the new time capsule.
And you're going to tell us about, you learned something for the new time capsule. We're going to get that in just a minute. But first we're going to talk about the parade, which is the very beginning of September, I believe.
Yes.
And it was a long parade. It was a great parade. Started at St. Anne's.
Yes.
And I believe it ended technically at the IBM,
Yes.
what was then IBM, their parking lot.
Yes. And it was probably the hottest day
I remember that too.
could possibly have been, and it was very well attended, and a lot of work went into it, and thanks to John Borowski and his subcommittee, it took months and months to get that prepared, and just can't thank them enough for all their hard work. And at the very end of the parade, don't know if anybody remembers this, but David Badger had this glass hearse that was drawn by a horse, and at the back of it said "The End," and he was the final.
He was the final straw. What I found interesting about that whole parade, Diane, was that there were, there were different units from other parts of the country.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I grew up in the Philadelphia area. They actually had people from the Mummers Parade there.
Yes.
Which I couldn't
Yes,
believe.
it was wonderful. Yeah,
but
they
there were
did a
some
great
other ones
job.
too. There was, I don't know if it was Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, but there were troops from pretty
All
darn
over.
far.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest we've ever had. It was by far, it was a wonderful tribute to Littleton to have everyone show up and support us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember if it was before the parade or after the parade, but there was also a very large fireworks display at the Neshoba Ski area.
Yes. Yep, and a lot of people don't know this as well, and we were talking about this beforehand, that Savas Danos donated the funds for us to have that.
For the fireworks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
And then we had the closing ceremony. I have the date as September 27th. I know it was at the middle school because I remember being there.
It started with a breakfast in the cafeteria, and then we moved on to the gymnasium, in which we did some a little bit of video, in which we were all able to see Millie being cheered on. And
It's all very formal. We lowered the flag first
Yep.
at half.
Yep, and folded that up and put that in again in the time capsule. And
Now that's another thing we did at the closing, or you did.
Yep.
Did you describe everything that you put into the
we
capsule?
did not, but there is a list of everything that's in the time capsule, so people will know who it came from and the reasons for why they're in there. So
And right now the capsule is being stored.
it's actually downstairs as you walk into the building in the cabinet that was handmade by Brian Richter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of history, a lot of Littleton that is involved in that.
Do you remember? Of course, you were just a little tot for the 250th.
Yeah, maybe not so much, but I do remember it, and it was a good celebration.
It's right about that time that Donnellan's opened up their
Yes.
plaza.
Yeah,
That was a big deal back then.
it was.
Littleton had a shopping center. I can remember talking to people who lived in Groton and Pepperell. They would drive to Littleton to do their supermarket shopping, but it was a shopping center.
Yes.
We had the apothecary, we had Five and Dime,
Yeah.
we had the rolling pin
Yes.
bakery,
Yes.
we had a sub shop, we had the liquor shop.
Yeah.
There were a couple more that I'm missing.
Yep. Clean It was the Clean It.
Clean
in
It was there.
Yeah.
Moore's Cash and Carry, of course, is a separate
Yeah.
building where Hunter Appliance is now, but
Yes. But
that was
yeah.
a shopping experience.
Yep. Most of them were family owned and family run, so that was another plus why people would go there and shop there.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to get to we're talking about one supermarket, and we're talking about one shopping plaza, rather. Now we're going to talk about another shopping plaza, because it was right, I believe, about a year later that the Point opened up.
Yes.
And you're all familiar with the Point. And how did the Point get its name? Well, here's how it got its name. We're going to show you that right now. Today's show is an update on the progress of the Point, our new and exciting mixed-use retail office destination at the intersection of Route 119 and 495. Intersection. The meaning of that word is central to the name, The Point. And here's how that happened. After a brainstorming session with his daughter and others to come up with a name for this new development, company president Sam Park found it, The Point, where history meets technology, the point where highways intersect. Now, the land where the Point sits is within 1 square mile that centuries ago was called Scratch Flat, and that mile continues down to where Springdale, and Gary's farm stands are located. Scratch Flat was one of the oldest agricultural pockets in the area and supplied bushels of produce for Boston and the surrounding towns. The area was also the subject of a book, Ceremonial Times, that takes you on a historical 15,000-year journey in time. And today, that history intersects with our local think belt of technology that include Juniper Networks, Red Hat, Cisco, IBM, and others that are woven in our regional network of highways. So that's the story behind the name. And that was an interview that I did with Sam Park when he was telling us about what was going in at the Point. But it's quite an interesting plaza, or whatever you want to call it. But as Sam was describing, it's not run-of-the-mill businesses in there, but other kinds of businesses.
He has quite a few restaurants in there, which, something different for everyone, and, you can always change up what you're deciding to eat by going up there. It's not always, a McDonald's, like a lot of places.
No, but through the years, Mark and Kirby and I did several shows up there. There was the boxing club up there. The rock climbing club was really turned out to be enormously
Yes.
popular.
And then they have a, I think it's hatchet throwing or something like that in one of the places.
I'll stay
there.
away from that. Stay away from that. I'm not too agile anymore, so. But getting back to some of the newer entries here in town, we have the new library, of course,
Yes.
came in.
It's a beautiful place. It's very well attended.
I use it.
Yeah, a lot of people. It's always busy over there. You always see a lot of cars over there, people going in and out. Funny story that when it was first finished, I had a gentleman come into the office and said to us, because he was unaware of what it was, said, "Oh, I like your new gym." I said, "That's not our gym, that's our new library." And he said, "Oh," because he hadn't realized that our library had closed and we had built a new one.
And as I recall, they finished ahead of schedule, too.
They did, and they did a beautiful job. And, very
And
well
it's
frequented.
got a neighbor coming up, too. I think this
does.
spring they're going to finish, is it believed called the Center on Shattuck Street, which
Yeah.
is the senior center. Diane, are there other kinds of activities that are going to be in there for other age groups?
Yeah, I believe it is, and they'll have the bingo that the seniors always want and always have to have on Fridays. But I believe that they will be doing other things for the younger groups as well. So it won't be just for older
For
seniors.
seniors, okay.
Some of the youngers as well.
Now, a few minutes ago, we mentioned the IBM parking lot where the parade ended.
Yes.
Of course, IBM left town, and 550 King Street is the building, the
Yes.
series of buildings, and it's being developed
Yes.
by a developer, and there's all sorts of chaos for the motorists who don't really are directly involved in it going on in the center of town.
Yes.
Sewage is being connected
Yes.
primarily for that, or in addition to that.
Yeah, in addition to that, yes. So the sewer project is what you're speaking of, and it's quite a project. It's going throughout the whole town, and it's mainly uptown, and that is the center of everything that's going on. And part of it is because of what's happening there. So Sal Lopoli is the owner of 550, and he has a contract right now with somebody who has purchased part of that property, and that will be quite the project. And people have read about it and are concerned about it. And you have to really look and decide, what would you rather have? Would you rather have that type of a project, or would you rather have a warehouse that's going in there
Sure.
that is full of tractor trailers pulling in and out of there at all hours of the night? And so you have to really weigh your options and decide what'll be better for the town.
And in fact, it's going to be mixed use. It's
It
going to
will be mixed use.
commercial and residential.
Right.
I don't know if they've talked about condominiums at this point, but I know they've talked about apartments.
Apartments, yes. And we all know that, with apartments comes more people into the town, and you have to welcome and embrace new residents and new people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's part of the disruptions
Growth,
that are going
yeah.
on in town.
The growth,
And at some point, we're going to forget about it. It's
Right.
going to be fine.
Right.
Northern Bank and Trust is going to be moving.
Yes.
Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So as you go up heading towards Acton on Great Road, you notice that we've lost the sub shop. We've lost
Barbershop?
barbershop, which was always a go-to place for a lot of gentlemen in Littleton. And it has moved over towards 550 King Street for now, but we've noticed all of the gas station is gone, and so they are in the process of looking to build 3 buildings over there, and it'll be 2 stories. And at this point in time, different things have been looked at, but as far as we know, the bottom floor will be the bank, and on the top floors will be smaller apartments. So that is the plan as of this moment. But we know plans always change, and
Right.
We'll see how the things go, and that too will be connected to the septic sewer system. And
So again, it's going to
septic.
be another development also
Yeah.
that's mixed use. It's going to
Mixed
be
use,
commercial
yep.
and residential.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also, since 2014, we've added 3 separate senior housing.
Yes, yeah. So directly beside us is Hager Homestead, which used to be Gruskowski's and the dental store, the dental office. And when that closed, everybody's like, "What's going to happen?" And so now, if you look there, you see the condos that are over there, and it's 90% occupied already. So it's not sitting idle.
No.
And then people have already come in. The majority of the people have already come in and registered to vote and are ready to go. And those units are pretty nice units, and they're very well put together.
So you've been in.
I've seen them. I've been in there, and they're really nice. So.
And then the other 2, of course, Weber's Florist, who, my goodness, they were there for decades.
Yeah.
You know that more than I do.
Yeah, and so behind there is, Weber's. They are detached units, condos as well, and they're 100% occupied.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then we have another set of detached units down on Spectacle Pond Road.
Yeah.
There's another senior housing
Yeah.
development complex. So we've talked about a lot of the additions that have taken place here in Littleton. Sadly, we've had a couple of institutions that have closed. Cataldo's,
Yes.
I'm just going to call it Cataldo's. I'm not going to say Cataldo's Nursery. How would you even describe Cataldo's, right?
Yes. Years ago, I worked in the nursery, just helped out a little bit, and when she closed, she said that so many people came to her, everybody was sad when they closed, but they're like, "Oh, when I was going to retire, I was going to come and work there. How could you do this?" And she said it was time. She was, tired, and she just, she understood everybody loved it and frequented it, but, it
Yeah.
was time to close. But everybody was so sad when it happened, because she was like a staple.
And then the other institution, of course, that closed was Banks Automotive.
Yes.
I remember talking to Earl through the years, and he bought that building, I think, in the late 1950s.
Wow.
So he was originally a Texaco gas station, and then they went strictly to automotive repair.
Wow.
But that's another one that it sold. I believe it sold, or
It
it's in
did
the
sell.
process of selling.
It did sell, yep. And believe it or not, he's gone, his son, Kenny, has gone to work just across town at another gas station. So
Right. Yeah.
he didn't really retire. He's still working, so, yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek. One thing that hasn't changed in Littleton is the egg receiving station is still there. And when you were growing up, Halloween, they had a bumper crop business.
They did, but I can say, honestly, I didn't go there and get any eggs. I can't say that for my brothers.
I think we're going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great
And
talking with you.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and we're going to see you next time. Take care.